Welcome to the Gridiron Insight. I'm your host, Marcus Dent. I got my main man, Mikael Stevens. Man, another weekend in college football, man.
Hey, the plot thickens. We're going week by week. It's going by fast, but it's a lot of drama.
It's a lot of stuff going on, man. I'm gonna tell you, this weekend had to be one of the most zest weekends in college football I've ever seen. Now, we're gonna start right here in the home state with Ole Miss. You know, I picked Kentucky to cover, but I never thought that Kentucky would come in to Vaught Hemingway and beat Ole Miss with all the talent that they have. You know, it just seemed like to me that, man, they wasn't – somehow the focus wasn't there. You know, the focus wasn't there to me.
Kentucky is a good team. You know, it's Kentucky, but Kentucky is a good team. They took Georgia – one of the best teams in the country, and Georgia almost caught an L from Kentucky. But I think Lane didn't stay aggressive in that fourth quarter like he probably should have.
Well, if you look at the numbers, it was pretty much even. You know, Dart, I think he was like 18 for 27. I think Kentucky's quarterback was like 18 for 28, like 243 yards, and I think Dart had like 261 yards. So, I mean, it was pretty even, man. I mean, I never saw that coming, not with all the recruits that Ole Miss have gathered up in the, in the recent months and through the transfer portal. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later on the show because we're going to bring up some of the top, recruiting colleges, classes that are going on right now. And how does that shape up with the top 10 and top 25 in the country? But, we had let's go to another in-state team, Mississippi State and Texas. Now, I thought Texas was going to walk the dog on. I really did. I mean, I like my boy Coach Laird, but I really thought they was going to get taken to the shed. And, man, they showed up, They showed up,
They played with a lot of pride. And that's, hats off to Livy for keeping his team together. Kids get to losing, man. 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they fall apart quick.
They
hung in there. They got a lot to look forward to. We're talking about a first-year coach. Came into the season on the recruiting scene sort of late. So, they get the benefit of the doubt. If there's anything as a moral victory, they get one.
But before we go too far in the show, y'all hit that like button, hit subscribe. That'll help us out a lot. We appreciate the people who's watching, who's giving us feedback. Drop a comment. I'll get back with you, man. As soon as you drop that comment, I got it on speed dial on my phone, man. And somebody dropped that comment, so we'll get with you. But yeah, like I said, Markel, it was some things going on right now in college football that it's kind of weird, looking at the overall just sculpture of things. And, me and you talked about on the phone, just recruiting. And, our top kids in the state of Mississippi, of course, they're going everywhere.
Right.
You look at the Bama and Georgia game, which, man, Bama come out like a steamroller, and Georgia say, hold on, wait a minute, I'm going to catch up. But look, you got one of our top kids, and Caleb Cunningham, and I think that kid is, I think he's headed to Bama, from just, I know Ole Miss is making a push for him, but I think that kid is headed to Alabama.
Well, when you win those type of games in front of your home crowd, ESPN, ABC, night game, man, look, you got all the recruits there. Why wouldn't you? Tradition.
I understand that. So let me ask you this: What do the schools in the state have to do to keep the best talent in the state? Now, Ole Miss kept a good portion of the talent last year. They did pretty good last year. Getting the kid out of Houston, he stayed home and went to Ole Miss. The other young man out of Lake Cormorant, he went to Ole Miss. Of course, Isaiah went to Oklahoma, but some of these top talent, and I'm not going to even say the top talent. I want to say 1 through 25. It just doesn't say maroon and blue and white. From 80% of the top 25 in Mississippi is not staying. So what do you say has to happen for those kids to stay here in the state?
I think Ole Miss, Mississippi State, they have to become aggressive. And what I mean by that, the head coaches, they got to come on Friday nights. They got to come to the games. They got to get in helicopters and come to practices.
Oh, I've seen Kirby do it. I haven't seen Nick do it.
I've witnessed Mike Norvell do it in Georgia,
Right.
But in Mississippi, the talent is here. It's a little bit more raw, but the talent is here. These coaches got to show up at some of these games, or some of their assistants or analysts. They got to come to the games and be a part of the community and get involved and see what's going on, because the talent is here. That's why Alabama is always in Mississippi. LSU is always getting a few kids. Arkansas is grabbing kids. Kids are here. It's just a matter of Ole Miss and State identifying those kids early, and I'm talking 8th, 9th grade.
So okay, you got Deuce Knight. Everybody knows about Deuce Knight. Deuce Knight played 7-on-7 for me. I think he might have been in the 8th grade for a short period of time. And this kid has been on the radar for a long time. And I know Ole Miss is after him. I know Auburn is after him. Of course, after the OU Auburn game Saturday, Auburn needs a quarterback. They need a quarterback bad. I mean, he could come in Auburn right now and probably play right off the bat.
Exactly.
But he could do the same thing in Mississippi State. Now, don't get me wrong, Mississippi State does have the Taylor kid from Knoxville County. They did get him. So, they have a kid that they're looking, from the state that's was right in their back door to get that kid, which was a good thing for them. So let's talk, how much of the NIL is playing a part in keeping our 1 through 25 in the state of Mississippi. Now, I'm not talking about all the 4 stars. I'm talking about some of the high 3s and some of those kids.
Well, let's take a kid, London Simmons.
London from
Hartfield Academy.
Yeah,
a 3-star floating around under the radar for a long time. Then all of a sudden, he's an Alabama commit. How he's missing those type of kids, right? And those are the kids you got to get to stay home.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're talking about in the trenches,
right.
And his teammate, Reggie Vaughn, another one. He's going to Arkansas. Those are the type of things that cannot happen. Those are the kids that's got to stay home. I think it should be a bigger priority, paying the in-state athletes more than the out-state athletes.
I mean, because if you pay that in-state athlete, they're not going to look around like the others will. I mean, if you're in California and then all of a sudden you got they bring somebody in, you know what? I'm gonna get closer to home and go try to get me some more money. I'm gonna get closer to home. So I'm saying this right here. The kids like Trey Petty from Starkville.
Perfect example.
He's in Illinois and doing well. The starting quarterback for Illinois is a kid from Starkville, Mississippi. Who dad was a team doctor for the Mississippi State Bulldogs for a long period of time. He ends up going to Ole Miss. Jackson Darts comes in. He ends up going to Illinois. So what I'm saying is this right here. You look at Ole Miss. Ole Miss has paid a good bit of money. I think on might have been Bo Bound's show or somebody's show that they said they had about $15 million on the ground. Man, how many of those kids from Mississippi? And So let's just say if they go next week and don't win, what are they going to do? Shoot, you got Walter Nolan and some of those guys. Hey, look, they're looking at the NFL draft. They're not worried about playing in no bowl game. If they lose this weekend, they won't be playing in the playoffs. They have two conference losses, and guess what? Neither one of those opponents are ranked. So you're not going to make the playoff. You think those kids going to play in a bowl game?
Oh, no. No, they're going to protect their future with the NFL.
Yeah, they're gonna protect their future. So I'm saying that in top 25, in the top 25 in the country, if you look at it, that top 25, just like the polls now. Let's see, can we get that poll put up for the top 10? Can we get that poll put up? I'm gonna try to get the poll put up right here. Let me see. We got it somewhere. Maybe we can get it in here.
Well, Alabama is number 1. Texas is number 2. Ohio State at 3. Tennessee at 4. Georgia is at 5. Oregon at 6. Penn State 7. Miami 8. Missouri 9. And Michigan at 10. And USC at 11. Ole Miss is at 12.
And if you look at it, you got Ohio State, Bama, LSU, Georgia, Auburn. Them the top 5 schools right now in recruiting. Those are the top 5 schools in recruiting. Then you got Texas, Oregon, Tennessee, Texas A&M, USC, Oklahoma, Miami, Penn State, Michigan, Mizzou, Georgia Tech, Washington, Clemson, and TCU. So, okay, if you're not in that top 15, top 20 recruiting, I don't care how much portal stuff you do, man. You're not going to be able to recycle kids year after year. You got to be able to – you got to come to a point where you got to start stacking talent. You got to start stacking talent. So I'm going to ask you this. Is Ole Miss stacking talent?
Not yet. The only kid that they need to be playing is probably Aiden Williams. But here's a broader picture to, spending money does not equate to winning. Let's start there. But outside of coaching, general management on the college level and your analysts, that staff, that's where you're going to build your rosters from and who they could go out and get and not necessarily spend money. It's the diamond in the rough that you can find. And here in Mississippi, we got plenty. Yeah,
I mean, if you look at the diamonds in the rough, I get that. I get that. I get that. But man, I think come to the point that Markel, that you have to say, I got to get these top 10 kids cannot leave this state. They can't leave the state. Yeah. And I think that's one thing that we're looking at. They're leaving the state in big time. They're leaving the state now. And we can't keep them here in Mississippi. I mean, I can't. I'm the pot calling the kettle black. Isaiah's at Oklahoma, and the reason why he's at Oklahoma, no shake, no bad thing happened in his recruiting with Mississippi State or Ole Miss. It's just that he felt at that time that, hey, look, it's just there was a better deal for me. And it was mostly education.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So, we're losing, not only is Mississippi State and Ole Miss losing kids, Southern Miss is losing kids. Mississippi College is losing kids. Because we're not, something has to change, Markel. In this recruiting situation.
And I would go as far as to say this: the junior colleges got a lot of talent. It's a lot of talent in junior colleges here in Mississippi that probably should be Division I players.
Well, what's happening with the junior college kids when they go play 2 years of junior college? The ones who can stay here in Mississippi, they're like, you know what, y'all didn't want me when I came out of high school, and I know a lot of it is not the grades anymore. You got a lot of these schools are playing musical chairs with the kid. I had a parent this weekend take her son to a visit to a G5. And they called him, look, we want him to come down. We like his film. And they went down and spent, $400 on a hotel room, another $120 on gas. And, they didn't get an offer. But you told them to come down. Although they were driving from one part of Mississippi down there to another part, which is still, I just want to put it like this, from North Mississippi to South Mississippi. Spending that money in a hotel and gas, and this is a 2025 kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then if he mess around and go JUCO, or a school like Georgia State come in and offer him, they're not going to stay here.
No.
They're not going to stay here. They're going to go, so you know what, I came down here for a visit, and y'all want to see what December 20th was going to look like. Y'all want to see what the portal was going to look like. So, that's kind of what I'm faced right now with just a few of my kids that, their parents are kind of frustrated with the recruiting process. I mean, I'm seeing now for the first time kids get an official offer, and then they turn around and try to offer they turn around and try to commit within a week, or, a couple of days, and then that same school turn around and tell them, well, we got to wait. We got to hold up. We want to look at more film. No, you ain't got to look at more film. You know exactly what you got. You want to see what's going to shake on December the 20th, whenever signing day is. You want to see what shakes then. You're going to see what you can get out the portal. Then you're going to come and try to get that kid. And I think it's a bunch of miscues right now in our recruiting world in the state of Mississippi. I think some things got to change. I think right now, as for the JUCOs, the JUCOs used to have this saying, hey, you come play here, Alabama come get you, Ole Miss come get you. Well, guess what? Those days are gone, because, they don't have to come to the JUCOs. They go to the portal and get a kid.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So
you transfer from FCS.
Right, you can transfer from FCS. So right now, the junior college has a lot of good kids that could play in Hattiesburg, that could play in Starkville, and could play in Oxford.
Let's take a kid like a Quincy Phillips. No knock against where he's going.
Travesty.
You mean to tell me he can't
Travesty.
play for Ole Miss?
Travesty,
that's
bro.
A player.
Travesty. That's all I can say about that. That kid is one of the hardest running kids. A good kid on top of that, man. And you tell me there was nobody in the state that wanted to take a chance on this kid. He had to go JUCO.
Amazing.
You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I see it. You take Aiden Williams that is at Ole Miss right now, one of the top talents I've seen in a long time. I don't know what's going on in practice, whatever. But he's not touching the field.
Right.
And I know they got some dogs in front of him, but he's not touching the field. And let me ask you, the kids in front of him, are they from Mississippi?
Nope.
Okay. So if and I'm not saying any of this gonna happen. I'm just giving a scenario. So What if Aiden gets up next year and say, you know what? Well, lost a lot of guys. There's not a lot of guys in the portal. We're not gonna have a number one portal class. I'm gonna bounce to whatever university, and not just him. Anybody. I'm just using him as an example. You get a kid. You get a school like State that had some good kids. One of them is starting running back at USC. One of them, you just look last year. We got the poll up. Okay, Alabama, Texas, Ohio State, Tennessee, Georgia, Oregon, all those schools except for Penn State and Michigan recruit Mississippi heavy. I don't know if there's a kid at Texas that's from Mississippi. I know Ohio State, Tennessee recruits Mississippi hard. Georgia, you got the running back from Germantown. He's there. Oregon recruits Mississippi heavy. Yeah. Miami starting. I think he might be the right tackle. Bale. He's from Cleveland, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. You know. So you look at this poll, and you're going to find kids from all over everywhere. I mean, that's the dynamic of college football. But I'm just saying that us keeping our kids in the state is harder and harder to do every year. That's all I'm saying. I mean, that's something that I think needs to be looked at when it comes to staying in Mississippi. And I'm not talking, down on any other school or anything like that, because like I say, I can't call. I mean, I'd be the pot calling the kettle black because of what my situation is. But I do see a lot of kids that are under recruited. I'm gonna give you a kid that's under recruited. The quarterback at Etowampa High School, 6'3", 6'4", 210-pound quarterback, baseball kid. But guess what? He got North Alabama, and he can spin it.
Caleb Taylor out of Grenada.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah.
Like this kid is for the taking. I mean, nobody's on him.
The Smith kid that's playing FCS at Mercer went to Greenville Christian, lit it up, almost beat Travis Hunter and those guys over there in Georgia. Came here and walked the dog on everybody in Mississippi.
But here it is though. But what are the parents doing in these situations to put their student athletes in front of these?
Well, I can say about DeAndre, his dad, his mom and dad did everything I know human possible to put him in front of something, and they wouldn't take on him.
Right.
And I'm looking at some of this horrible quarterback play. That's what I'm looking at. And you got kids right here that I know that could play at some of these schools. And we know the big name kids are going to have a broader. There's going to be a lot broader, area that they can go to. We understand that, but you got kids that are grinders like Quincy that nobody took a chance on.
But it again, there's this disconnect from the grassroots, and what I mean is from Little League, middle school. There is no presence of a Mississippi State scout or Ole Miss scout or USM scout on a grassroots level where they didn't watch these kids come up through the ranks and know it's time to pull the trigger. You and I can sit up. We've watched a lot of kids.
Oh, we watched many. come up through the ranks, and yeah, I mean it's a lot.
You know, and it's a lot of kids that's gonna go to JUCO, you know, and like they say, get it out the mud. But you know, we have enough talent here to backfield and to compete on an SEC championship level, mixed in with the out-of-state kids that's being recruited.
That's true.
Whether they go to Ole Miss or Mississippi State, but the commitment has to be in state first. Look at Louisiana, look at Alabama, look at Georgia, and we surrounded by states that make a priority to keep their kids in state.
Oh, Louisiana for sure.
You know,
I mean, it's hard to get a kid out of Louisiana that's a top kid, and you can't blame the kid when they go to these schools. And you know, I'm not gonna call a school name, but me and my wife, we asked, what's the graduation rate of African Americans? The guy looked at me and hung his head because he knew it. It was 43%. That's not good.
Mm-hmm.
What's the graduation rate of African Americans on the football team is what I'm talking about.
Right.
And it was 43%. Man, that's not good. That's showing that the priority is not on the kid himself, is on the program. The priority is on the program. You understand what I'm saying? It's on the program. So when you take a kid that goes somewhere else and say, hey, look, we want you to graduate in 3 years. When you leave here, we want you to have your master's. We also have a program that we don't want you going out there looking for a job. We have a program that's set up to help you do interviews. We help you find jobs. I mean, when you start talking that kind of stuff, you get a parent's attention. Now you might not get that kid attention if it's just a kid that doesn't have a whole lot of backing at home. Then he's not thinking about that. But I've seen that on the recruiting trail too many times in the last 2 years, and I've seen a lot of kids say, you know what, I'm not going there because there's nothing in place for me to be a successful student athlete and a successful man to help my community when I actually leave here. That's one of the bigger problems that I'm seeing. Now, I did see this summer, and I don't know how much it's going to last. I saw this summer some different things that Mississippi State is doing. So I imagine Coach Leb is kind of easing some of that stuff in. You know, you got to have money to do some of that stuff too. But I think if some of these schools will be more committed into making these young men feel like when I leave here, man, I'm gonna be a step above, you know, a lot of people. I think that weighs heavy on a lot of parents. And I know it does, because I had a parent tell me that was her biggest concern. And she, from Mississippi, her kid is out of state, and that was one of her things. Neither school at that point in time had programs set up that she felt like when her child left there, that he would be prepared to take on the world.
Life after football.
Life after football. What are you gonna go pro in next?
Exactly.
And that's what I think I think that's one of the disconnects with some of the schools around here. And I hate to say this, but that's Mississippi as a whole.
And see, now you're talking about a bigger issue.
Yeah. I mean, that's a broad issue, but that's the whole, excuse my French, but shit and caboodle. That's it.
Well, you produce these student athletes, men and women, get them ready for life after football, and you retain them into your state. You build a better state.
Correct. You build a better state, you build a better community.
I do know Ole Miss has some programs in place that I witnessed that they're doing. So I would say some steps have been made to go in a better direction on a lot of these programs. Even Jackson State, when Prime came, he put some things in place to help kids after football. But that takes time.
Yeah, I was just finna say, how far are we behind?
That's a good question.
Okay, let's do this. I'm finna make you say something now. How far are we behind in high school football compared to Alabama and Georgia?
Well, talent-wise, we there. We got the talent.
But what about everything else to come with it?
The training has to be made in
the facilities.
The facilities, definitely. Indoor facilities, weight program, nutrition programs, even catapult systems to monitor, how fast they running or if they're about to have an injury, those type of things. The number of coaches. Yeah. Not just having a minimum amount, maybe having 25 coaches. It's a lot of, that's education. How much are we willing to invest in our education?
That's true. You take what's the kid's name from Hakeem Deere, the kid that once committed to Ole Miss and then I think he committed to Alabama. I think he's uncommitted right now, which I think that situation is kind of just a sketchy situation. But, just looking at Ole Miss, they need a running back. They're missing Judkins. I don't care what they say. They're missing him. Absolutely. They're missing him big time. But, I just think overall, and that's what we're here for, to give a different insight to football and the recruiting part of it. And I want parents to understand this before we get out of here. I want parents to understand this. When you're looking at a school, do not look at wins and losses. It's the only thing that why your son or daughter commit to a school. Because wins and losses, that's not going to put food on the table later on down the line. Now, you're not going to go to a program that's in disarray. You're not going to do that. You're not going to go to a program in disarray. Don't go to a program in disarray. But there's a lot of variables that you need to look at when it comes to picking a school. And I think some of the parents in Mississippi have started doing that.
Right.
I don't think it comes down to, all athletics. You got schools that are actually, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to leave the money out. I'm not going to leave the money out because the money is I'm not going to say it's a problem, but I want to say that's over half. That's over half. But you got to also look at, you got to look at other things too. You got to look at the education part of it. You got to look at the programs that they have, that's in structure, teaching. You have to be just a productive citizen. I can tell you one thing that I was kind of tripped out by at OU was, man, they got a cooking class. Before you leave there, everybody gonna know how to cook.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're gonna know how, whatever your collective, whatever it is, you're gonna know how to balance your taxes. And I'm not saying these other schools don't have it. I just know about what what we look at. But I do know there's some things that I think that and these schools might have every bit of that. But when a kid comes there, you need to tell the parents, we have these things in place. Don't make them ask for it. That was one thing my wife could not stand when we had to ask for something about the education part, about how you're going to help build his character, how you're going to help show him how to, build financial wealth.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Don't make a parent ask for those things.
And that goes back to having a general manager for your program.
A lot of schools are doing that now.
Yeah, Ole Miss has it. I'm not sure about Mississippi State, but that's going to become an important part of your program as the evolution of college athletics change.
Yeah,
And the staff that you place in that department, and it's comprehensive, is recruiting, is taking care of your student athletes while they're there and after they leave.
that's it. That's the key.
You're going to look at some of these successful programs, the Alabamas of the world, the Georgias of the world, who have these general managers with these staffs that are taking care of these families, getting them the information, making sure they're making decisions that they're going to have to live with. Because you have the opportunity to go into school in December as a freshman. You get to start early. You could walk out of there in 4 years with your master's degree. Like you were saying earlier.
That's it.
And the game of football can take care of you, no matter the school.
Yeah. And the parents need to know this is why we want him here. We want him here not only for football. Yeah, he's coming for football. We know that. But give them some more food to they can eat and nourish that food and say, okay, look, this is the best option for little Johnny. And we're going to talk more on that in a show to come, man. But I had this on my chest today because I had a couple parents, was concerned about different things. But they went on a couple visits this weekend, and this wasn't a Power P4 school, but they went on a couple visits and they did not talk about education one time. And it completely turned the parents off. One parent is, both parents are educators. One is in administration and one teach. And you didn't even think to even talk to them about anything like that. All you talked about was, we're going to get this kid, this, that, and other. Nothing about education. So, parents, keep asking questions, but you should not have to ask a college recruiter anything about education. That's all I'm saying.
One thing too, just as a sidebar, Ole Miss is very popular for students outside of the state.
Oh, Texas.
They've done a great job with the marketing. Georgia.
Yeah.
They got to commit Hayden Bradley out of Georgia, out of Buford. This past weekend. Those kids, they like Ole Miss. They want to come. And like I said, they've done a great
party
job.
In the silk, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, party in the silk.
Yeah, they've done a great job marketing, but it's always come to the SIP. But now I think that transition has to be stay in the SIP.
Yeah. Well, I mean, every kid is not going to stay, but you have to look at the proportion of kids that are not 4 or 5-star kids who are not going to get a really, really big check to go somewhere else. They're losing those kids. And I'm not just talking about Mississippi State Ole Miss and Mississippi State Ole Miss, Southern Miss. I'm not just talking about them. I'm talking about the Mississippi colleges, the Alcorn, the Jackson State, the Delta States. I'm talking about all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting everybody in that group. So like I say, hey, it's something we can talk on. We can talk about this all night long. But like I said, we're gonna wrap the show up. And like I said, before I go, parents, just when you go to a school, make sure that if that coach doesn't say anything to you about your academics or what they want to do with your child, then guess what? You might want to move on from that school because what it's all about. It's about your child being more productive citizen and being educated and being able to put him in valleys that of wealth and knowledge when he leaves there. That's what it's all about. Because what's the percentage of athletes to go to the NFL? About 1%.
Yeah, it's low.
It's low. So we got to make sure. I think if we make sure we do that, Mississippi colleges, if we make sure we do that, I think we'll be able to keep more of the kids in state. So, Markel, hey man, I appreciate you, brother.
Anytime.
All right, man. You know what it is. We'll welcome you back next week and do the same thing. We might try to do something for the week out, and dive a little deeper into something else. But hey, y'all, God bless and peace.
Peace out.
That was